Chapter 6. The Seven Heavens. Now, O Enoch, behold the seven crystal oars above my right hand. Lo, these seven oars symbolize the seven heavens of your world. This night you shall know their secrets, their mysteries. Yea, you will know the mysteries of the seven heavens. Gaze, Enoch, into the first orb. Behold, as I gazed into the first orb, it was as though I was transported into the orb. Yea, I was hovering in the sky of a heavenly world in a body of light, and the lady was with me. I asked, Where are we, my lady? Yana replied, This world will be called El Cush, and it will be the first new heaven of the realm of your son. Yea, the holy mountain in the center of Cush will be raised to become the center of El Cush. For behold, your world was to be the first heaven of your son, but has fallen out of the heavens to become a contested world. Yea, except for the Nazarene homeland, which is the holy mountain in the center of Cush, your world has fallen. Wherefore, the holy mountain shall be raised from this world, and will be the center of the new first heaven. Lo, as he beheld the new first heaven, in the place whereat our holy mountain was set, once raised from the fallen world, and the new heaven is beautiful and peaceful, and even as the first Cush before the fall. Behold, the heaven is of rarefied atmosphere, and the cherubim who reside here are of a flesh that needs not die. For those other heavens have bodies, but not so dense as human bodies. Their flesh radiated the gleam of light. And all of this new heaven is a beautiful garden, like the Garden of Eden before the fall. Yea, this garden is beautiful, and a place of delight. The colors of the soil, plants, flowers, and skies are vivid and radiant. The scent of the garden is sweet and nourishing, and the tree bears all manners of delicious fruit. And behold, all who reside here eat only the fruits of trees, for their bodies are rarefied elements, and need not heavy food. And the animals are friendly, neither harming nor eating one another, eating only fruits. The air of El Kush is fresh and invigorating, like a food, and the water is pure and fresh and healing. Behold, as I gaze upon the blessed new first heaven of our son, my blessed turned to sadness, as I considered the plight of the fallen souls of the fallen first heaven. Seeing my concern, the lady Christ asked, "O Enoch, would you not enjoy residing in the resurrected heaven?" I replied, "You know I would, holy Yana, but can I be at peace in heaven if I turn my back on fallen mankind? I think not." The lady smiled sweetly and spoke, "Bless Enoch. If it were not for your compassionate concern for those that war in hell, you will be unable to ascend unto heaven. Yea, those that let go of the hands of the fallen in order to grasp heaven for themselves will only grasp thorns. For truly, those that reach low to lift the fallen reach the heights, and those that turn their backs fall back. And those know this, those that reside in the heavens serves those of the worlds below them. Yea, and those that reside in the new first heaven of your son works to raise those of the fallen first heaven. For the fallen world of your birth is now a contested world. Behold, a contested world is a world within neither Lucifer nor Elohim has won final victory. Such a world is a battleground, a war between the children of light and those of darkness. For such a world, though having fallen from the heavenly hierarchy of ascending world into the hierarchy of fallen worlds, is not yet firmly in the grasp of Lucifer, and may yet be pulled away from him by Elohim. The fallen worlds are hells, but the higher hells are called contested worlds because Lucifer has a weak hold on those worlds. And that hold is contested by the Christ family. Yea, due to rampant killing, your world has fallen from the heavens, for there is no killings in the heavens. But the Lord and Lady still have dominion over many in your world. And according to the rules of intervention, we actively contest the fate of your world. And if your world is raised to once again reside in the heavenly hierarchy, El Cush will again join Cush. Yea, the old first heaven will be one with the new first heaven. And in that day, to see our victory, the Lord and Lady will reside on your world for 1,000 years. Until the glorious days of victory, the Nazarene homeland will be raised from the center of Cush to the center of El Cush. But the Nazarenes will not abandon the fallen world, but will work to raise it. Yea, the Nazarenes will maintain a remnant of the fallen world, in the fallen world, and will have a homeland in El Cush. It will work to raise the fallen world. Behold, those who reside in El Cush, which is the first heaven, will visit the other 6 heavens of the sun for study and play and certain rituals according to the will of Elohim. For each heaven was created for a purpose, and those that reside in a certain heaven must master the golden lessons of that heaven before residing in the next heaven. Lo, they that master the lessons of the first heaven has attained Sekno Ni Iman, which is faithful consciousness. One attains Seko Niema by meeting the 3 requisites. The first requisite is to maintain Sekto Mutba, which is natural consciousness. By resisting the Luciferian temptation to abandon natural consciousness for the unnatural. For natural consciousness is the gift of Yahweh, but unnatural consciousness is the great trap of Satan. Think not that the great trap is new to your world. For behold, throughout the mother ovum in the lower worlds, the great war has long been fought. And this war is between those of artificial consciousness, which is enslaved light, and those of natural consciousness. That war is confined to the lower worlds, for those of artificial consciousness cannot enter the rarefied atmosphere of the second heaven or higher. Yea, and they are barely able to infiltrate the first heaven. Even so, from their unfiltrated abodes, the Christ family of the higher heavens wage war against Satan, and your world is now a battleground. The second requisite of Seko Niima is to make adequate progress in Seko Ha-Hergish, which is progress, mastery of the consciousness of the senses. Lo, at the level of a first heaven, adequate progress is ritualized consecration of the senses to Yahweh. Through the devotional practices of the Nazarene religion of the essence way. The third requisite of Sekel Neiman is the attainment of Ru'ul, which is friendship with Elohim. Ru'ul is the fruit of discipleship, wherefore, behold now the 4 pillars of discipleship. So 1 is sincerity of motive. 2 is diligence and studentship. 3, persistence through time. 4, loyalty, absolute even in hardships. And the 4th pillar supports the roof of this heaven. And the name carved on the roof is friendship. And only those that attain this degree may enter the second heaven, for they have attained Seko Niima, which is faithful consciousness. Those that master lessons of the first heaven attains the right to reside in the second heaven. In the second heaven, the cherubim works to attain Seko Tahor, which is pure consciousness. Behold, The cherubim of the second haven practice strict spiritual discipline of purification. Lo, they purify not only the body but also the feelings and mind. Wherefore they come to desire and seek only wholesome and good things for themselves and others. And this is called Seko Hashafut Veha Mevukash. Desire and sought consciousness. Yea, in the attainment of Seko Tahu depends on the attainment of Seko Hashufas Vaha Mevukash, which is attained only by strict adherence to spiritual disciplines. Yea, through the strict disciple disciplines, they rid themselves of wrong desires and wrong pursuits and even wrong thoughts. This, along with purification of the body, leads to Seko Tahor. Behold, even these strict disciples, disciplines and of the second heaven are practiced in the spirit of joy. For lo, the essence tree of life is in every heaven, yea, and within each of the cherubim and the angel of joy is the tree of life. Know this, O Enoch, any spiritual discipline practiced without joy, even the strict disciplines of the cherubim of the second heaven produces not but bitter fruit. Such joyless discipline is not of the essence way. Behold, the great work of self-purification, the primary work of the cherubim of the second heaven, prepares them to reside in the third heaven. For lo, only those who attain Seko Tahor, which is pure consciousness, may reside in the third heaven. Yea, those that master the lesson of the second heaven attain the right to reside in the third heaven. For their self-purification has prepared them for the primary work of the third heaven, which is prayer on behalf of others. Lo, prayer is important in every heaven, yea, in every world. But in the third heaven, prayer is the primary activity. Yea, the cherubim of the third heaven, having attained Seko Hachufes Vahamevukash in the second heaven, will now not pray amiss. Thus, they are fit to become masters of prayer, prayer on behalf of others. They pray for those of the first thought and second heavens, and those of contested worlds, and those of hell realms. Wherefore the cherubim of the third heaven are known as the angels of prayer, for that is their primary work. Yea, the primary work of the cherubim of the third heaven is prayer. And though this work, along with other study, they will attain Seko Haratzum, the consciousness of will. They will come to know the power of the will and will master directing the will toward positive ends. The attainments of which is Seko Haratzum, having attained Seko Haratzum, and having amply demonstrated that attainment, the cherubim of the third heaven ascends unto the fourth heaven. Behold, those that reside in the fourth heaven are filled with great love. Yea, so much love fills the heart that it shines outwards like rays from the sun. Yea, they have attained Seko Masih, which is radiant consciousness. In the fourth heaven, their work is to share love by being love. Lo, they radiate love into the atmospheres, thus sharing love with them of other worlds. Though the practice of being love, they transcend the need of food, eating not even fruit. And when one attains the highest degree of Seko Mazhir, which is Seko Nikshi, once has attained the body that cannot die and will ascend into the fifth heaven to receive a holy mission. Behold, Seko Nikshi means enduring consciousness. It is the consciousness of great lovers, those who love so much that even their bodies cannot die, for love is eternal. Previous to the attainment of Seko Nikshi, that eternal spirits of the cherubim lived in bodies that need not die but can die. Lo, the body that cannot die can be seen and touched only by those who have attained that body, who have also attained that body. Wherefore, Sekel Nitshi is also called Sekel Nishtar, which means hidden consciousness. Yea, every type of body, from the most ethereal to the most dense, is an extension of the consciousness of the being who wears that body. And every body ever worn by a being is within the oval light of that being. Even the bodies of past, present, and future, through this truth cannot be fathomed by the mind. It transcends the mind. Lo, the body that cannot die is hidden within whatever body is normative in whatever world those cherubims visit. And if the body that is normative is mortal and dies, these cherubims take the body that cannot die with them to their next calling. For they visit whatever worlds they are called to visit by the drumbeat that is the heartbeat of the Lord and Lady. And many of these worlds are mortal worlds, for love goes wherever love is needed. Through Seko Nichi is not usually attained until one resides in the fourth heaven. Behold, there have been and will continue to be exceptions. For lo, Seko Nichi is not confined to a space or time, for it is a degree of love that knows no boundaries. Behold, O Enoch, when your father, holy Abdiel, answered the question of the drumbeat, that is the heartbeat, with the words, I will go. He was taken to the fifth heaven and then visit other heavens to prepare for his work. And though it may have seemed that little time has passed on earth while Abdiel visited the seven heavens and worlds beyond the sun, behold, time as it is calculated on earth is not as time is in the heavens. It was likewise with your mother, holy Isha, who also answered the heartbeat. And likewise, it will be you who are also an exception. For such is the mystery of the heartbeat that is the drumbeat, which is the beat in unison of the hearts of the Lord and Lady. And those who hear the heartbeat will hear the question, who will go? And those who answer, I will go, ascend unto the fifth heaven, and then beyond and below. Yea, those who attain Seko Nikshi will ascend unto the fifth heaven. There they will receive the Mahazeh Gidola, the great revelation, which is a vision of great work. Yea, even as you, Enoch, will receive this vision, the vision. For when you sat in the center of the garden in Cush, you heard the question, yea, and you gave the answer. Wherefore you have crossed the rainbow bridge and came to me at the world of the Lord. Even now, though you know it not, you stand with me in the fifth heaven. For it is the fifth heaven where the rainbow bridge took you. Receive now the Mahazeh Gidola, the great revelation. Behold, the revelation of all that have been, which is the first part of the Mahazeh Gidola. I, Enoch, looked within and saw the mysteries of life revealed. Yea, I watched as the Ancient of Days asked the first question, who am I? And lo, I heard Yah, and became Yah, with the declaration of the first answer, I am. Yea, I watched the story of Yah unfold. Even feeling the story unfold within my heart, I saw and felt the first feeling of Yah. And that feeling was bliss, which is the love of I am, which is also the great appreciation. Yea, I tasted the gracious wish, which was the wish of the one alone to share existence, consciousness, and bliss with one another. Lo, I witnessed Yah become the first male as Yah-la came forth from Ein Sof as the first female, together becoming God and goddess transcendent. Yah, yea, the one alone, was now the lover and beloved, the one another, and I perceived the divine plan. Yea, I saw how the plan was made of many parts to achieve one goal, and that goal is the great goal, which is the great why, which is I and I. Yea, the great goal is to create divine children who freely choose to join Yah in the blessed day of play and perpetual communion. And I perceive the parts of the plan. I perceive the divine way, which is the way of Yahweh, which is the way of creative expansion of existence, consciousness, and bliss. And I perceive the great school, which is the mother ovum, and all the ovums within that ovum, which are the countless bodies and worlds within worlds, in which the children of Yah expand in existence, consciousness, and bliss, and learning what must be learned at each level until at last they pierce the mother ovum and join Yah and Yahla in heaven most high. And I perceive the universal laws, which are the laws of being, which are encoded into the very fabric of being. And I perceive the great freedom, which is the freedom of every child of Yah to choose good or evil, to choose fellowship with Yah or to reject Yah. And I perceive the means of intervention of Yah, which is Yahweh, the Lord Christ, and Yamna, the Lady Christ, who are the hands of mercy, by which Yah reaches from heaven's most high into the mother ovum to save those suffering from consequences of the great freedom. Yea, I saw within myself all these things of the divine plan, and I witnessed the activation of the plan. I saw the Zimzum of Yah and Yahla. I saw the emanation of Yahweh from Yah. I saw the emanation of Yana from Yahla. I saw the creation of the mother ovum. I saw the ascensions of Yah to heaven's most high, which is outside of the mother ovum. I saw the birth of X-Chain, the tree of life. I saw the golden ladder of countless rungs, which is the center branch of the tree of life, which branch connects every being with heaven most high, and Yah. I saw that every rung is held in place by the two poles of the ladder, Yahweh, the word of Yah, and Yana, the breath of Yahla, which are the two that are one, and the one that is two. God and goddess immanent, directly emanated first son and first daughter of Yah. I saw their dance in the countless worlds and beings that came forth from that dance, yea, in the countless worlds and beings that will continue forth from that dance. And I saw that many beings within the great freedom made unwise choices and experienced great pain, creating hell realms within and without. And I saw countless worlds and souls over fathomless durations fall down the ladder into foul pits of their own making. And I saw that always in every foul pit the Lord Christ Yahweh and the Lady Christ Yana intervening as the hands of mercy. But I saw that this intervention must be according to the laws of intervention, according to the great freedom. And I saw that an even tyrant called Satan has come forth, and that Satan has an army of servants called demons, and that Satan did intervene in many worlds in direct opposition to the love and wisdom of God and goddesses, immanent and transcendent. And I saw that this opposition was possible within the great freedom, for within that freedom is the freedom to choose evil. And I saw that the worlds and souls and needs of the hands of mercies are countless. I saw that Yahweh and Yana, our Lord Christ and Lady Christ, ever since the beginning of their dance, has sent forth the great invitation, which is the invitation to join them in their works, messianic intervention, which is to become the hands of mercy. And I saw that only those who have the ears to hear can hear the great call. That is the great invitation to join the Christ family, which is the body of Christ. Behold, I knew that my hearing of the question, who will go by meditation in the center of the garden before I crossed the rainbow bridge, was my hearing of the great invitation. Yea, and I knew that in my response I will serve. Was my acceptance of the invitation? Lo, I knew that my work would be on behalf of the new world that has suffered satanic attack at its very inception. Behold, I saw within myself the coming of Abraham and Sarah to plant the tree of life in this world. I saw Lucifer attempt to prevent that planting. And I saw the blessed life in paradise of Adam and Eve before their fall. I saw their fall into the killing and eating of animals when they obeyed the voice of Lucifer rather than the voice of Elohim within. I saw that now the garden was polluted. Satanic seed was mixed with God seed. Now there were two spirals planted in the garden, the upward spiral into heavenly realms and light and bliss, and the downward spiral into hellish realms of darkness and pain. Behold, the downward spiral always exists as a possibility, but now, on this world, as in many other worlds, the downward spiral was an actuality. And lo, at the moment the downward spiral was made manifest, many thousands of demonic entities of various types flocked to this world. Some were bodies, some disembodied. Some of the disembodied were called pain suckers, for they feed on the emotional pain of other beings. And all the pain suckers are of the family called parasites. The most dangerous of the suckers are those called pain farmers, for they plant seeds of discourse in order to increase the harvest of pain. Yea, they teach the art of weapon making and encourage warfare and a thousand other evil things. And they do this by whispering in the minds of not only their willing servants, but even their unsuspecting hosts. For the unsuspecting host thinks that the demonic suggestion whispered in his mind is his own ideal. And I perceive how the demons were able to enter the bodies of their unsuspecting hosts. Although the laws of nature work against demonic possession, for no entity should be able to enter the Beit Shah ovum of light of another without permission. The demon found that they could slow the vibrations and therefore weaken the Magan Haru, the shield of light of creatures, by getting them to eat flesh. Yea, the demons found that they could pierce the light shield of creatures who fell from the fleshless diet to a diet of flesh. And once they entered the light of ovum, behold, they could enter even the physical body of the unsuspecting host. And by entering the body of the host, lo, the demons gain two things. One, they may now whisper in the minds of the host. Two, they may experience vicarious thrills through the sense organs of the host. I also perceive the remedy for this great evil, a return to the fleshless diet. For once beings reject the flesh diet of the demons are forced to flee. Yea, the demons are forced to flee because according to Yah law, they cannot be within the light ovum of any creature who eats not the flesh of other creatures. The eggs or milk of other creatures may be eaten without fear of demonic possession, yea, and the vegetables, grains, and fruits of nature, but not the flesh of another creature. And I perceive that on many worlds the pain farmers have subverted the fleshless diets of creatures, and therefore thereby planted seeds of pain that grew into mighty crops. And the pain farmers cultivate their soil before planting, and they add manure to their fields, and they water their crops, and Satan is master of the pain farmers, and Lucifer is one of his many servants. Lo, the Mahaz Gedolah, the great revelations, was in two parts. The first part was just described is the revelations of all that has been, for it revealed to me all the things that have made needful the coming of this world and of the Nazarene priesthood. The hands of mercy of Lord Christ Yahweh and the Lady Christ Yana. The second part of the Mahazet Gedolah was the Messianic revelations of the Lamb and Dove. That was the revealing of the purpose and practices of the Nazarene Church of the Essence Way, which is the revelations of the Bahir Shibatayim and my own ministry. For behold, I saw what has befallen Abdiel and Ishaha. They were slain by Cain, and they have ascended to become chief cherubim of the tree of life for our world. After my receiving of the Mahez Gedolah at the fifth heaven, behold, the seven golden orbs that have floated above the right hand of Yana now formed a spiral circle above my head. And I ascended and entered the first orb, seeing and knowing the things thereof, then passed similarly through the second, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, each orb being as if was a doorway into heaven. And whether I remain a few minutes or many years within each heaven cannot be said. For behold, time there was not like earth time. Lo, Enoch, has described the primary purpose of the cherubim who reside in the first five heavens, as I have taught. The primary purpose of those of the first heaven is the attainment of Sekel Neima, which is faithful conscience. The primary purpose of those of the second heaven is the attainment of Sekel Tahor, which is pure consciousness. The primary purpose of those of the third heaven is the attainment of Sekel Haratzun, the consciousness of will as angels of prayer. The primary purpose of those of the fourth heaven is the attainment of progressive higher degrees of Sekel Mazir, which is radiant consciousness. Their work is to share love by being loved. Yea, so much love fills the hearts that it shines outwards like rays from the sun. All those of the fourth heaven, like those of the lower heavens, have attained some degree of Sekel Mazir. Those who ascend from the fourth heaven unto the fifth are those who attain the highest degree of Sekel Mazir, which is Sekel Nietzsche. And Sekel Nietzsche means enduring consciousness, and is the attainment of the body that cannot die. Those who attain Sekel Nietzsche ascend the fifth heaven, where they receive the Mahiza Gedolah, the great revelation, and this is to prepare them to receive from Elohim a sacred mission, a special work. For the fifth heaven is such that whatever work is to be done by a being is clear to that being. For Elohim designed the holy chamber that is called the fifth heaven to be of a geometry that induces the realization of one sacred mission. Yea, the fifth heaven is not a world within beings reside for a long duration, as in other worlds, but a sacred realm designed to induce realization of one's next holy work. Lo, having ascended to the fifth heaven and having received a holy mission thereat, many again and again completing one mission and receiving another, and each time a sacred mission to return to a lower world is accepted at the fifth heaven. The cherubim are first elevated until the sixth and seventh heavens, then descend to perform their work. The sixth and seventh heavens will now be described. At the sixth heaven, the cherubim prepares for the sacred work received in the fifth heaven. The sixth heaven is not a world where then cherubim live for long duration. Rather, this world is a great temple of learning, where wherein one may experience Sekel Sad Hapalut Harushiniot Kulam, which is consciousness of the mystery of all spiritual activities. Yea, this heaven is a storehouse of knowledge, available only to them who has attained Sekel Nietzsche, and then in the fifth heaven accepted as a holy mission. Having ascended unto the sixth heaven, one needs not stay and study many months or years therein. For behold, whatever wisdom is needed to perform one's work will be quickly received to one's sixth sephira. Upon entering the sixth heaven, yea, and within the sixth sephira, that wisdom will be stored ready to be assessed when needed. Having received and stored that requisite knowledge, one ascends into the seventh heaven. Now, the seventh heaven, a temple of light hidden within the sun, is where the highest spiritual rituals, as the cherubim of this chain of worlds, are performed. Many cherubim reside therein, and many others visit. And some who now visit will one day reside within the temple of light. For behold, they who reside therein are preparing to ascend to heavenly worlds beyond the seven heavens of our sun. For the temple of light is not only the highest heaven of this chain of worlds, but is the doorway that leads beyond this chain of worlds into the next chain. And the chains of worlds, each of seven heavens, are infinite. Behold, in our chain of seven heavens, they who reside in the seventh heavens are they who has attained the highest degree of Seko Mufla, which is mystical consciousness. The seventh heaven of our chain of worlds is also called Bet Hashifa, which means house of influx. For lo, it is the seventh sephira of our chain of worlds, receiving the influx of divine light, which is the Nahara, the river of light, channeling to the seventh sephira of every being within our chain of worlds. Yea, they who reside in the seventh heaven participate in this ministry of channeling divine light by praising Yahweh, whereby they attain Seko Shifa Nivda, which is transcendental influx consciousness. They who visit the seventh heaven but do not yet reside thereat may participate in certain high rituals held in the temple of light, such as initiation as a Christ and consecration to a mission. But only they who have attained Seko Dikshi and wear the body that cannot die may reside in the temple of light.